Welcome to another series of iCampSA lessons. Today we have an interesting solve for x. Right, so this is your question that you usually find in your maths paper 1 final, right? Final, test, prelim, or whatever you want to call it, right? So here we are not required to, which is a mistake that some would make, to prove that the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. No, here we are required to solve for x. We need to find the value of x, right? We need to find the value of x. So let's see how we can approach that. So the first thing that I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and dissolve this side, right? Because it seems to be complicated. I don't want to be working with sets, so I'm going to let this be equals to k, right? So I'm going to let that become to k, right? So k is going to be equals to your x squared plus 3x plus 2, right? And then from there I'll be left with x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals to k, right? But there's one thing that I notice here, right? I notice that I have x, I have k, right? And I want to work with only what? I want to work with the values of k. I want to work with k, right? So I need the equation, right? I need the equation to have only k, right, as variables, right? So in order for me to do that, right, I'm going to write this equation, right? I'm going to write this side in terms of k, right? So I am going to write x squared plus 3x minus 4 in terms of k, right? So let's see how we can do that, right? So I'm going to rewrite it, right? I'm going to have x squared plus 3x minus 4 is equals to, what I can do is I want this expression, right? I'm gonna want this expression to be similar to this one, right? So that I can make it be equals to k. So I'm going to do that, right? So it's going to be x squared plus 3x, right? And then your 4, right? Your 4, in fact, your negative 4, right? Your negative 4 can also be written as your negative 6 plus 2, right? It's going to be negative 6 plus 2. It's still the same thing, right? So let's see. Let me simplify it further. I'm gonna take this to the other side. Right, I'm bringing it here, right? So now I'm going to have x squared plus 3x, right, plus your 2 minus 6, right? And if you notice very well, right, this whole one, right, this expression now looks similar to this one, right? And we can now work with it, right? So let me put it into brackets. Let me use a different color and put it into brackets. So this is what I have now, right? But remember k, so remember k k was equals to the square root of x squared plus 3x plus 2, right? So I want to have whatever is under the square root, right? So that I can substitute it back there. So I'm going to square both sides in order for me to do that, right? So I'm going to square, let me write it in a different side. So it's going to be k equals to your square root of x squared plus 3x plus 2, right? And then I square both sides. So I'm going to have k squared equals to your x squared plus 3x plus 2, right? So this, right, now I can work with it, right? Now I want you to notice that this, I can equate it to k squared. This entire expression I can equate it to k squared, right? So eventually I'm going to have your x squared plus 3x minus 4, which is equals to your x squared plus 3x plus 2 minus 6. It's going to be the same thing as your k squared minus 6, right? I write the minus 6 in different colors because I want you to see the changes that I made. So this is, let's write it properly here. So this is going to be your k squared minus 6, right? And you still have your x squared plus 3x minus 4, right? So now you can substitute it back, right? You can substitute back into that equation, right? So now, right, your x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals to k, right? We are going to substitute this into here, right? So it's going to be your k squared minus 6 equals to k, right? And then from here we can solve for k. From here we can solve for k. So we are going to have now your typical quadratic equation, which is k squared, and it's going to be minus k minus 6 equals to 0, right? So now we open our bracket, right? We open our bracket. So it's going to be k, this is going to be negative, and here it's going to be positive. So if we say negative 3 plus 2, right, it's going to give us negative 1. So how we choose the factors is that we want the factors of 6, right? We want the factors of 6 that will give us negative 1. Right, so what are the factors of 6 that will give us negative 1? The factors of negative 6 that will give us negative 1, I mean, right? So what comes to my mind, it's 3 and 2, right? It's 3 and 2. So which one has to be negative, which one has to be positive, right? So if I make this one negative and I make this one positive, negative 3 plus positive 2, it's going to give me what? A negative 1. So that's how I choose my factors, right? That's how I choose my factors. So now I am going to have k is equals to negative 2 or k is equals to 3, right? Remember remember what we had was we let k was equals to your square root of x squared plus 3x plus 2, right? So we cannot take k equals to -2 because we cannot have a square root of a negative number, right? So k should be greater than 0, right? So your k equals to -2, it cannot be a solution already, right? So we are going to use k is equals to what? K is equals to 3 to solve for x, right? So now we are going to have 3 is equals to your square root of x, your square root of x squared plus 3x plus 2, right? And then I'm going to square both sides, and then I'm going to have your 9 equals to your x squared plus 3x plus 2. Great. And then this is going to be equals to 0 equals to x squared plus, in fact, let me write it on a new page for space reasons. So I'm going to transpose 9. When I transpose 9, I'm going to be left with 0 equals to your x squared plus 3x. So your 9, 2 minus 9, 2 minus 9, it's going to be what? -7, right? Already I can see I have 7, right? And there are no factors of 7 that will give me a +3, right? So what I need to do here is use a quadratic formula, right? So I'm going to use a quadratic formula, and my quadratic formula is going to be x is equals to minus b plus minus my b squared minus 4ac all over your 2a, right? So now I'm going to substitute. So it's going to be x equals to minus into 3 plus minus I have your 3 squared minus 4. What is a is 1, what is c is minus 7, right? All over 2. What is a is 1, right? So I am going to have 2 values of x. So the one value of x is going to be when I use a positive sign, and the other value of x is going to be when I use a negative sign. So when I punch my calculator, it's going to give me, let me see, it's going to give me -4 into 1 minus 7 all over 2. So the first answer is going to be 1,54, or x should be equals to minus, so it's going to be -4,54, right? So these are my 2 values of x, right? These are my 2 values of x that I will use. Right, these are my 2 values of x. So as we saw, we needed only to solve what? To solve for x, right? So this is your classic solve for x question. Let's see another question.